There we go. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Pennsylvania State Grange virtual membership meeting this morning. It's nice to have everyone here. It's nice to see sunshine. So I'm sure once I'm done talking to you this morning, you'll probably all be taking off and going outside. That's where I'm headed. I don't know what I'm going to do out there, but I'm going to find something. I made some notes, so let me start with, I think everybody on here knows who I am, but anyone watching, my name is Lizzie Bailey, and I work for the Pennsylvania State Grange office, and I do the public relations, and I do the membership, and I also am the president of the Cumberland Valley Grange in Shippensburg, so kind of wear a few little hats with Grange. Grange is a great organization, and I found it 2006. I guess Betsy, I think it's been that long since Betsy was on my doorstep helping me recruit members. At the speed of lightning, they showed up to come help me, and that was what was so great about it. I was like really excited. I want everyone, there's not a lot of us on here, but if we would introduce ourselves and tell me your Grange and what county you're in.
I'll start. Gene Zavere, Keystone Grange, number 2 in Montgomery County.
Okay, and Jim, I can actually call you out by Betsy. You want to go ahead?
Betsy Huber, Goshen Grange in Chester County,
Okay.
also national president.
Yes, yes. First woman national president. It's Women's Month, you know. We're going to throw that.
Yeah.
It's Tara, go ahead.
Tara Ingram from Center County and Marion Grange, number 223.
Okay. Mary Sproat.
Mary Sproat, Chester County, London Grove Grange, number 63.
Okay, and I see Karen McCaslin.
Karen McCaslin, still on my nightgown from Collegeville, PA. Keystone Grange too.
She is with me at Keystone Grange, number 2. Karen has been a very active member, extremely active in Collegeville and Trap. So I wanted her to join on this. So she can see more, expose her more to the State Grange and how we operate and to help build Keystone Grange, number 2.
Wonderful. And I see Joanne Heim.
I met Lizzie before.
Okay.
When Lizzie came to our Grange, I met you before,
Yes.
a couple of years back.
Yeah.
Everybody's invited to our spaghetti dinner on April 24th.
Nice
Nice plug, Karen.
Wonderful. That is actually excellent. I was actually putting that on my calendar. So, and Joanne Heim, you want to tell us
Hi,
where you're from and
Trexlertown Grange, number 1755 in West Coastville, PA.
okay. And are you Lehigh County or are you?
Yes, just
Okay.
barely.
Okay,
Well,
just barely.
no, it's the town, it's the townships that we're right on the edge of the township line. But no, we're Lehigh County.
Okay. All right. So that should at least give us an idea. We are kind of like center over western part of state. So, and Rachel, of course, we don't see her, but she probably hears us. She is with the Capitol Grange in Harrisburg, and she is with the Cumberland Valley Grange in Shippensburg. And she's just recently taken over as the Deaf and Community Service Director with Pennsylvania. So she's wearing a Grange hat. So I'm excited as a parent to see her take a step into a role with Grange. So that makes me very proud. I want to let you know that my role for everyone, and I tell people this all the time, that, I work for you. We put together, and I have a little pal that I'm going to work myself right down to as I talk. We worked on member benefits. So these are probably the core that need to be presented when you are talking to someone about membership. You should be putting one of these in everyone's hands that you come across. Don't necessarily have to be like saying, I want you to join right now. But I mean, as you're putting things together, if you've got a dinner, a food sale, whatever's going on, you should be sliding these types of things into those packets that are going out. I usually have this, and I have a business card that, I put with everyone. that I talked to.
Hey, can we get those from you, or do we need to print them ourselves?
You can get them from the state office. So,
Okay.
you know what? I may wanna.
I have a stack from when you gave them to me, but they're a little old, so I wasn't sure if they've been updated.
Yeah, no, we do, and we can update it for you. I'm not even sure if that's gonna work. We're gonna see if the doggie's gonna behave himself because I hear him barking. I don't know if you all hear him or not. Probably. Okay. All right. You can. So we have these at the office and we do update them as we get benefits or benefits change, and then we can send those out. So other things that, benefits, the businesses themselves. So like PSECU gives us a nice little packet. So if you haven't looked at one of these or shared these with your members about signing up for an account with them, you can. And Wayne will promote this so much better. He'll tell you that, the loans through them. So like you can't beat car loans when it comes to getting the financing and getting a great rate, and PSECU is your place to turn to for that. Something that I started offering while we're in pandemic, I had plenty of projects to keep busy, but I kept finding ways that I could do something for each of the Granges. And in saying that, Beaver County approached me wanting to do a Pomona Grange brochure for them. And so they gave me information on each one of their Granges, and it's just an informational piece with when they're meeting, what they do, who's the contact people, how you can rent their Grange hall. Sent me some pictures. So if you're wanting something like that done, I'm here. I work for all of you, and I try to do the best I can do in creating some pieces for you. If you're doing an event and you need help with a flyer or the social media posts, I can create those. Gene, I just did one for him yesterday for his spaghetti dinner, and Kutztown is doing a meal, and I just did a flyer for them. I want to make sure that you're promoting the text or the email blast that we send out. And so it's as easy as just texting this code in and putting in your email to get on the email blast. And they go out, at least we try to do once a week, or, it's about every 10 days if it's kind of not a ton of information to circulate. But so we try to do the best with that. If you have information, I need to press upon everyone, make sure you get that to me. And if you're having an event, we struggle getting, what's going on in the local communities. And so we've learned to kind of troll on Facebook and kind of catch some pictures and information too, and try to pass it along. But again, let me stress, the state office is there to work for you. If you give us some of this stuff, we can help promote it. I can do press releases for you if you're doing an event, and we can centralize it to your region to send out the press releases. So I think that's kind of my main notes. I want to talk to you about some of the things people always say, what should we be doing at our Grange, and trying to encourage people to come in. And Cindy Schaefer would always get sick of hearing me say this. And I would just like, we just need to have fun. I said that fun is going to get people. And I said, if we can figure out how to have fun, then they follow fun. And I think that's true because I've been able to get some younger people to join in our little Grange in Shippensburg. And they come from usually like working over at the Ag Expo. So the Grange pretty much runs the little pageants over there. We do a little miss, a junior, and a junior queen, and a queen program. And then they wanted me to do a Mrs. and a Mister. And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't have time to manage. I have 8 girls that I kind of like book to do stuff. So I didn't need to keep adding. But those girls have jumped on, and they come and they like to get out and do things. And, one of the girls has just signed up to be like our Grange secretary. And she just started college. She's a freshman in college. So I was excited that we could get a young person to want to take an office. So that was exciting. But if you're active, or if you are, if you're volunteering or you're in other groups, don't hesitate to share Grange with people. And I, constantly, and I made sure I had like my little pin on this morning because I believe in the power of promotion with these products. So people will ask me, sometimes it'll catch their eye because it's really nice. And they'll say, well, what is that pen to? And it opens up the door for you to talk about, the Grange and what we do and what you can do in Grange. And the other thing, and some of you I know have heard this, I think there's probably a few here that haven't. When I was at the Shippensburg Fair working the booth for a downtown organization, and I saw this young couple coming up through the fairgrounds. And they had a yellow t-shirt on and it said Pennsylvania State Grange Young Couple of the Year. And I was like, hey, I'm so shy. You all know that. I'm like, hey, I know what a Grange is. And they came over and they're like, okay, you know what a Grange is, so what is it? And I'm like, well, I said, Pa from Little House on the Prairie was a member. And they laughed, and we stood there and talked for probably 20 minutes. They took my name because they started telling me everything that their Grange was doing, all these programs and all these services that they were offering in the community. And I'm like, well, how do I get one of those here? And the next thing I know, the Pennsylvania State Grange office where Betsy was at and Carl Mice, I mean, literally, it felt like it was within 2 weeks, and I had people on my doorstep, and we went out and canvassed the neighborhood to recruit for members. So, and the rest is history. Here we are. Don't underestimate wearing your Grange hat, your Grange t-shirt. Get them on and wear them when you're out and about, because you never know when that person's going to ask you, hey, how do I get one of those here? Because that's how we got started. That's exactly how it was. A t-shirt of all things. So I also want to say too, we're talking about programming and how you market to members during a pandemic. And if this hasn't been an interesting year, I hope that we've all been journaling and making some notes on what we've been doing this year. I know that in the beginning of it, I did a program with Amanda from National on the pandemic and, what do we do when we couldn't leave our homes? And we went through this little litany of stuff, and I'm going to kind of touch upon a few of those. But now we're getting ready to emerge out of this and be a little bit more mobile. And I didn't personally get to go over and look at the changes from the governors, like CDC, and what we're going to be allowed to do. But I think after Easter, I think it's 75% can attend functions. And if I remember correctly, I think you had to go online and do their little program. And I don't think it takes very long, maybe a half hour. But you go through their little certification program, and I think you're permitted to have 75% in your building. And so you need to know some things about what is your capacity and what does 75% look like. And with weather getting nicer, how can we capitalize on the outside of our Granges to have some events and functions that would entice people to come in? Grange is always known for their food. And so like Saturday, it was one of the first things I had gone out to, but I stayed outside of the building because that's where the people were. But they were doing a drive-through chicken and waffle dinner over in Perry County, or I should say Purry County. And if Wayne's on here, he'll be
happy.
Purry.
Purry. I get lectured all the time on how to say that right. But it was great. Now I want to point out something to everyone on here, something that I noticed immediately. Members were great. They were working right in tune with each other. And there were these 3 young girls that were helping to set up at the table. And then they were the runners to bring the meals out to people. And so as they had breaks, the one girl would stop and she would just like talk to me. And so I was asking her who she is and what did she do. And I'm like, are you here with mom today? Are you here with grandparents? And oh, she said, I'm here with my grandparents. And I'm like, oh, I said, well, are you a junior member? And she's like, no, what is that? And I'm like starting to tell her about the junior program. And she says, I come to every event and I help. Every event, and this girl isn't a junior member. So I'm going to implore upon everybody that's on this call and anybody who's watching this, please go back and look at your family and ask them to be part of what you're doing. There are many Grange halls that I go into and I see that often, that the kids didn't join or the grandchildren didn't join. I know 2 farm shows ago, there were 2 girls from Somerset. And when I asked them, they were like, oh, we just were so used to helping, we didn't think about it. So they joined. And so I think that we need to ask our own family. I have everyone in my immediate family signed up, and I'm working on others now. So, you need to ask them to come back and be part. And if they are helping, we really need to get them back on the membership rules with Grange. And if you have to sell them on membership benefits, do that. But those girls were excited. I put applications to their hands, and I went in and I talked to the grandparents about getting them on the membership rolls. So it is important to look what you're already working with and approach those people and get your family members on. And then you can branch out. The pandemic did lots of things. And one of them was it got us confined in our homes, was 1. 2, we were thrilled if we saw a neighbor in a yard and we were like waving, or we wanted someone to talk to. And I have been quarantining at Rachel's most of the time, running back and forth to ship to here. And so we would leave little goodies, among the neighbors here, or, I dropped apple butter off with a little Grange card to it, and that type of thing. I think that as we're emerging out of this, we need to remember to reach out to those people who are our neighbors, invite them to something at your Grange Hall. Does anyone, I know Jean and them have a spaghetti dinner. Is anyone going to be hosting what for Grange month in April? Are there any kind of socials going on? Just a little meet and greet? No? Okay, so we need to talk about things that you can do to get people in. I'm one of those people, sometimes Barb Gross has me enthralled with doing quilt blocks and quilting right now, but if you ever question what kind of little social or whatever you could do to have people come to a function, I pulled my little basket over here beside me because I wanted to show you something. You're like, I don't know what to have because I don't know what people were interested in. Well, let me just show you what Lizzie Bailey's interested in. Lizzie Bailey would love to learn how to make paper that looks like this. Okay. This was a gift, and I'm like, it's homemade paper in it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I would love that. Another thing that Lizzie Bailey would like to do is learn how to, and I didn't even know I could do this. You can emboss aluminum foil, and you can emboss paper bags. Now, I show you this kind of stuff to invite people to come into your Grange Hall. How much does it? I think this came from the Dollar Tree for $1, and $1. So these are projects that people, it's just those odd little things that you can do with people. I have a quilling board, like where you take the little tiny paper strips and you make little art pictures. That's something that I would like to get a little more proficient at. And I'm obsessed with buying these little scissors to do paper cuttings with. I must have 20 pair. Every time I see them at the Dollar Tree, I buy them because some of I do kids programming in the summer. And in saying that, these scissors for $1, you can't beat it. And they're great little scissors. They're nice and sharp for paper cutting. So, if anyone read the PGN, I even talked about my gram doing Schnitzels, the little paper cuttings. And she would teach me how to do some of them, but I hadn't done it for years. So during the pandemic, I played around with that a little bit. Any of these, they're all kind of little different things. And when I do programming with children in the summertime, it doesn't have to be fancy stuff, because I went to yard sales and I bought sheets and we hung them over clothesline rope and we made tents. They had to make their own tent and they had to bring a book, and I gave them a journal book that day so they could make notes. But they played games in their tent, they read, they were kind of in charge of their day at camp. So I just want you to think outside the box of little things you can do. If you're a huge Grange and you've got a lot of members, think bigger. If you're a small Grange, think about what you can handle. Cumberland Valley Grange isn't real big. And we service in our community, like we go to the nursing home at Christmas time, and we take cards with us, Christmas cards and postage stamps. And each resident comes down with like 10 addresses. And so we help them do their Christmas cards, and then we put the postage stamp on it, and we take everything to the post office for them. It's not a huge community service project, but it's something that we can handle. And while we're there, we'll leave little brochure, we'll leave membership cards, because family will come in, and sometimes families there with the address book, and they're like, well, where are you at? Could we, can we visit? Or, or they'll want to make a donation, or it's just constantly these little projects that you can offer to your community and handing out your information. And, you don't necessarily need to be on top of them, because everyone's fearful that they're going to be pushed in to join in something that maybe they don't want. That's why when I started off, I talked to you about fun. Make sure that whatever you're doing is fun, is interesting, and that you can get people to come out to have fun with you. Fun, if they keep having fun with you, they're going to want to join. And then it's going to be an easier, you hand them the application and sign them up kind of situation. So who has something that's going on that you want to share, or something that was successful at your Grange? Oh, I don't want everyone to jump up and down. And I know
I'm trying to get to my unmute button. Sorry.
Yeah.
My mouse is like, I must need to change the batteries or something, because it's not moving very quickly. We're still like our Grange in Marion Township, we're a small Grange. And I don't know what happened, but apparently there was all sorts of drama, and it like almost disbanded, and now we're regrouping. And so that was all pre-me. So I don't know and really don't care about what happened, but we're trying to do an event in June, actually, where it's like a membership drive, and we're kind of theming it as a Grange it's a one size fits all organization. So it's for kids, it's for parents, it's for grandparents, it's for single people, it's for couples, and so we're trying to come up with different ideas that we can do. We had a meeting earlier this week, and we're trying to have like activities in our local park, because we don't have a Grange hall, which also makes things a little bit more difficult, because like we can't do dinners and we can't have open house type events. But so we're trying to do this in the township park, to try and draw people in that respect. So we like we were just throwing around ideas at our meeting the other night about sorry, I thought I heard a car door and it was my dad, but I don't think it is. And we were talking about like getting the little canvases from like Michael's, like the little 4x4 canvases, and having kids paint like the quilt blocks on those and things like that, just to kind of gauge interest, and having an information booth, and then maybe bringing in like the Dairy Princess to tie in the agriculture piece and things like that. But I know we're struggling for members. And so we are open to any ideas that people might have. We've never done something like this before, so we want to do it and do it well, but at the same time, we don't want to throw a ton of effort and money behind it, because we've never done it before and we don't know if anybody's going to show up, So
test the waters. Well, yeah. I like that you're going to the park, and it makes me think of, and I know there's different times throughout the year, things are going on, but there's also a lot of competition at those events. And so that's great. You're going out to the park because you're going to see people coming to do whatever is going on there. In Shippensburg, it just seems like it's a town of events. And so I try to piggyback off of some of the things that are going on there. But one of the things I can around, and we didn't get to it this year because of pandemic, but I know everyone does Easter egg hunts. I wanted to do like a leprechaun hunt and do something for Patty's Day.
Yeah,
And,
that's
you know,
cute.
hide green eggs and put maybe some silver dollars or, you know, I don't know what, you know, half dollars or something and a few of them, you know, for prizes. We did rock painting, which went over really well. And we made some of them that we hid prize eggs or prize stones and that they could call us and then claim a little prize from doing the rock painting. And when they call, you know, when they got their prize, they got a little membership app and, you know, just some brochures and newsletter, whatever, just so we can kind of get things in there, you know, to them to read. Another thing is making sure that you have Facebook. If you're doing social media, you need to be doing it. If you're not, have a Facebook page, open up the little Twitter account. And one of the things that I've done across the state of Pennsylvania is I've joined, I don't know how many community pages. And I
Right.
tell them that I'm with the Pennsylvania State Grange and I'm helping a local Grange or the county Granges circulate their information. And so then they usually let me join. But if it's your county, go in. There's yard sale sites or community information pages. When you're having these events, make sure that you're getting them out there
Yeah.
to, you know, so they know that they're going on to come. And again, fun and membership really go hand in hand. And when they
Yeah.
start seeing some fun things happening, everybody wants to be with the fun people.
Okay. I was right. I just heard my dad. So
You're gonna the
I
moose.
think
Shut it.
I think Cheryl's here, so she'll take note and report back. So
Okay, sounds great.
good to see you all. Take care.
So does anything, have you done some small events in the past before pandemic that you're thinking about trying to bring back in a small way as we're coming out of this pandemic?
Keystone Grange, we've done a lot of events in the past that were extremely successful. As lecturer for Keystone Grange, I helped to plan those events and schedule them with input from others. Some of these events have been extremely successful where we have to fill our Grange Hall, and we can fill our Grange Hall with the event. It was a Mother's Day tea we did. With social distancing and, you know, capacity requirements, if we went ahead and did that event, it would just be a monetary loss. We want to be able to fill the Grange Hall, which is what we need to do. So we're trying to schedule some events. A Mother's Day tea, we're going to try that in November. It's not going to necessarily be a Mother's Day tea. It's going to be a tea and crimpet type party. Spaghetti dinners for us have been extremely successful in the past, and it doesn't take much to put together a spaghetti dinner. We're going to try a takeout spaghetti dinner, and yeah, if people say they want to sit there and eat, that's going to be fun because some restrictions are lifting. We did put everything on hold for a year. Last February, we did an awesome event, which was just amazing with a Heron Fail well type of event for our longtime mayor. We had the who's who of the community in our Grange Hall that day, and Karen McCaslin was very helpful in putting that together. And I was just so excited about how our 2020 started off. It was better than expected. And then it just came crashing down. It was heartbreaking. So kind of took a lot of those events and rescheduled them for this year. To put an event together, there's always fear that it might fail or you might lose some money on it. And we know all of our budgets are very, very tight. But I personally believe that the biggest failure is not trying and just say, well, it might cost us too money. It may not work. We're just not going to do it. There's many, and I think that's more of a failure than, you know, not trying or just being too scared. There's a lot of events I put on at Keystone Grange, you know, a Winter Blues event where I turned into a coffee house, had my cousin's band come in and play some music. And it just turned out to be, you know, a bunch of my friends there hanging out. not many people from the public came in. And you always have those events where you think this is going to be a home run. It's going to be a success. We're going to make $500. We're going to get 6 new members. If every event was like that, it'd be great. Now, I put my heart and soul into some of these events and they just don't work out. It's upsetting. It's, you know, you don't get help from other members. Not that you burn out, but it gets frustrating, but you do not give up. We are known for perseverance. If you do give up, you will fail. You need to keep trying and learn from events that may not have been as successful as you would have liked. Most
would you-
people, you know, they drive by the Grange Hall and maybe the lights are on for 2 hours a month during your regular meeting, and it looks like a dead hall. Your door needs to be open more than once a month. Lights need to be on more than once a month. People need to be interested and care about what's going on in their community. And I know you said like Shippensburg, that is a community where there's something going on every weekend. Someone's doing something every weekend. How do you compete? You don't really want to compete. You want to join forces. You don't want to take over their events. Maybe you can set up a membership table at their event in the back corner or something. You know, I know for every event we do at Keystone Grange, I would love to have someone else set up a table there. They're not competing. They're not taking members. And you almost have to partner with different organizations in your community. Collegeville Trap here, we have the Rotary Club, all kinds of different women's clubs. Everybody's trying to do something. And if you're trying to raise money or get members, there's only so much money and people only have so much time in the community. It's difficult. It is difficult to raise money and get members, but that's where you need to be creative and come up with events that no one else has or partner with other people. It's tough though. Just keep persevering and don't give up.
It is. And with some of your events, Jean brings up a point too about like partnering with someone. So I know in SHIP, we do a lot with the SHIP Young Farmers, and we pull the FFA kids in from the local high school. And so those things are helpful because we're doing it collaboratively, and it brings members out from each of the groups. And if we're selling something, you know, the sales go up because you're bringing in other people, the other members, their families come to the things, that type of stuff. So it is good to look for partners when you're doing some of your stuff in your communities to see what you can pull off with them. One of our more successful things, and we're going to get ready to repeat it again, is container gardening. And we had a local business give us money to help buy the products that we needed. And we had seniors, we had kids coming. We went to the local food banks and we had stood in line there and signed up people because we felt one of the things at that time that you didn't get was fresh produce. And so we had people sign up to learn how to container gardening, and then we did it at the local park and used the picnic tables and we involved Penn State Extension. The master gardeners came and taught the classes for us. FFA kids taught some of the classes, and we had a rotating schedule so we could work everybody through the program and find days that worked for everyone to come. So just doing that, you know, it got our name out in the community. And we have raised garden beds that we work with the kids in the summertime, and we take that produce and we take it over to SPO, which is a food bank that actually gives out fresh produce. And so that's always nice. Does anyone else have anything to share on an event that they've done in the past that you want to try to bring back? And you need to be thinking about, as we're coming out of the pandemic, how you can cater it and do it safely in your building or on the property that you're using. Anyone else have another share moment?
Lizzie, this is Jim Diamond speaking.
Yes, Jim.
I want to commend you and the group that's involved here today and all the great ideas that you're coming forward with. This is all good stuff. I'm going to suggest something here. And as you know, I sometimes think outside of the box.
I do.
And I don't know whether that's good or bad, but I do. There is a huge group of people who live in Pennsylvania that the Grange hasn't even touched. And that is people who are of the Latino populations, the Asian populations, the people of color, Europeans, and these people are family-oriented people. And that's what the Grange is all about anymore. It's a family organization. This is a perfect match. And I suggest that we think about some of the things you're doing and suggest it today to invite some of these people to your Grange meetings and let them learn a little bit about the Grange. We have a couple in our Grange who immigrated from England, and they are just, in fact, I nominated her one year for the outstanding lecturer. They are just absolutely wonderful members. And you can invite them to come in to put on programs for you, talk about their culture and their traditions, talk about their language, their experiences that they had when they went through the process of immigrating into America. This couple that was from England, the day that they went and became sworn in as American citizens, they had to take that test. And that very evening, they came to we had a Grange meeting, and they came, and that was the program. They gave everybody the test they had to take. And let me tell you something, folks. There wasn't very many people who would become a citizen that night.
Oh, wow.
So they could show slides of their home country. They could come in and talk about the dances, traditional dances, wear their costumes, their music. Let them bring in some of their musical instruments, and so these are some of the things that you could get them to involve. And also, these family units in these areas, they're very close knit. And when you invite somebody, have them bring with them their family or their friends into the Grange so they can become familiar with what we do. So there's something there for you to think about, and give it some thought, and maybe we can tap into a whole new population in Pennsylvania.
That's a wonderful idea, Jim. And, and we all can look at our communities and look for the diversity that we can bring into the Grange. And, start, get your little notebook out and start making your list of who you can invite. And look down your street, look in your community, look in the neighboring community, but start creating that list and just start inviting people. I know during the pandemic, it was really hard in the beginning how to converse with everybody. And we went to Zoom. I mean, at Grange, I tell Wayne, I feel like we became production managers of all these programs that we're doing. And we've got lighting, we've got microphones, we've got this, I've got all kinds of computers that I didn't have before, and, trying to balance some of this. And it's a way the younger generation is loving it, attending things. And I think we're finding that we've heard from Granges that members haven't been to Grange meetings for a long time, have popped in a Zoom meeting, to have attended it. And so that's something to continue thinking about as we move forward. There should maybe be a virtual attendance for those that can't make it to the physical meeting. If you are a younger family, I remember what that was like, and my kids are all grown now, but we have grandchildren, and it's hard to get home from work, get a meal on a table, and get kids helping with homework, and then to think that there's going to be a Grange meeting. But that family might be able to link in through Zoom with you for your meeting. or an event that you're doing. I want to say that if not everybody has Zoom, but one thing that's nice about using or they don't have internet is that you can call in and on the phone and still participate. And that's a nice feature for those, especially maybe some of our elders who are homebound and still not wanting to come out to meetings, don't have shots yet, maybe that type of thing, that you still access this technology. Because I don't think this is going away. Even as we come out of this pandemic, I think that as Grangers, we need to look at different ways that we can still incorporate all this technology that we've learned. One of the things at state office, I want to share, and I've been trying to get, whether it's the Pomona Granges or just even a Grange in the community, if you want to do an event and you're like, well, I'm scared to death to set something up on Zoom, let Grange at state office set it up for you. We have the Zoom capability. We can help you get a speaker. You need to look at your community and think, what would be a great program to put on? And we'll set it up. We'll help you find the speaker, and let's do it through Zoom. And let's contact those community rooms, put flyers out there, and let people know that your Grange and your community is hosting this, and see what you get, who might pop in and attend. Sometimes I'm surprised. We've done a few at SHIP, and we get kids from the university that'll pop in. We're friends with the Sean Cornell does the farm program. It's called The Farm, but there's not a building on the property. It's just a piece of land, and they garden and have like a little greenhouse and stuff, I think, put up now. But so we get, again, different people that pop in, or we've offered game night, and the state Grange is doing this Zoom bingo, which we thought we would do that for maybe a couple months. And I just want to tell you, April 14th, we're celebrating 1 year of playing Zoom with members across the nation. I mean, we've got from California, New York, we've got Florida, New Jersey people pop in there. I mean, it's been ongoing. And it's not uncommon to have anywhere from 28 to 30 some computers hooked in playing bingo with multiple people. We've had some success. We got a person to join. They joined actually my Grange, one of the elders that was playing. And then we just recently had somebody from Dina, I see you're in here, Perry County, a family with 3 kids that's interested, and it looks like they might be close our Madison Grange. And so these programs, even though you think they're not doing something, they are. And again, it goes back to that fun factor and what's of interest to the people in your community. My community is different than your community. What makes your community your community? What's going on there? What's it known for? What would bring people out? In SHIP, it's an old town, and they like history. And there's times you can put on a historical program, or you want to talk about, anytime you can get them to reminisce, they like talking about the old stores, the old Victory Theater, that type of thing. But what is there about your community that you could do something on? Anyone have comments? Everyone's real quiet.
Lizzie,
Yeah.
I haven't brought this up at our Grange yet, and we're fortunate that we have a church that rents our building and kept through COVID, even though they didn't use it, kept on paying for the building. So we were blessed with that. But if anybody is on the PA Dairymen's Association site, you see that they are doing pop-up events with the Farm Show milkshakes. And Greenwood FFA has done it twice, and they have you need a lot of extra help, and they got help from other areas of the county, but you can make an awful lot of money in a couple hours because it's a shared fundraiser. And so it's something I'm contemplating doing at, our Grange or somewhere in our county, because in the neighboring county, they've been wiped out in a couple hours and what the product they brought in. But that's a real easy fundraiser, and it's something that draws people in. You're not necessarily, maybe going to get your Grange name out front of that, but it would be something to fundraise for your organization.
Right. Raising money and having money in the bank to work off of kind of goes hand in hand when you're trying to do events to raise more money and trying to do an event that's going to bring people in. So yes, that is great. I remember, and I'm not so sure if it was the Dairymen's Association that time or if it was someone they had an arrangement with, but the Corn Fest, we couldn't have it last year. It was the year before. There was a milkshake truck there. And the line was, Dina, it was a steady stream of people getting milkshakes. And the group that was doing it, they were making something off of every milkshake they sold. And it was a great collaboration because they were real thrilled with what they made that day. So yeah, and that's a great suggestion to be doing part of that. And you said it's the Dairymen's Association. Anyone else have thoughts on something outside the box? I might step back inside the box for just a minute. During pandemic, again, we reached out to people different ways. I told people that if they weren't connected on the internet, it's as easy as just picking up the phone and checking on your neighbors. And we still have neighbors that need to be checked on. So whether you send little note cards, I've sent cards out to Grange members that I haven't heard from for a little while. It's just, how are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. I try to do so many phone calls every week, just calling someone and kind of like talking to them to see what's going on. Don't underestimate those little things, because one of the things that we found through the pandemic, just showing that you cared about someone else and you were asking how they were doing, was a big thing. And so you need to continue that, because they will remember that, and you can go back and invite them when you're opening up your Grange halls to do these functions. Make sure you're inviting people. I think we're all tired of being in our homes and, just trying to be as safe as possible when we are going out to do stuff. And so as we're getting people to come out, you need to keep inviting them, and invite people you don't know. My husband always said I could carry on a phone conversation with the phone operator when I'd call for help. And I talk to everybody. If we're doing an event, I make sure I have little flyers or handouts, that I let places. When I promote the summer programming, if I see a young mom with kids, I'll hand a flyer to her and say, our group is doing this. And, so you've got to really self-promote. That's one of the things that I have noticed about Grangers, that we are all doers, we're overdoers, but we're humble people, and we don't say enough about what we're doing to let others know, because that was never a focus for us to draw attention upon ourselves. We were doing these things as services, but we need to become just a little less humble and kind of, shine the light on yourselves, the successes that your Grange is having. I want to bring up just different things that people don't even think about. The Pennsylvania State Grange Family Activities sells quilt chances. Make sure that you're putting these things out in your community and you're letting them know that you've got quilt chances at your Grange hall for sale. And because if someone's interested in quilts, they're going to be looking you up, and they may be asking you some other questions, hey, what else are you doing? Do you have other raffles throughout the year? Or, it's just a great opener to talk to someone. Barb Gross and Glenn and I had been working on the quilt trail. And so we were able to get 100 quilt blocks. I think there's more than 100 in the farm show building now. And people are asking about them. There's conversation. I get emails from people. Farm show is thrilled to have us there. We have a part 2 and a part 3 of projects that we're going to be doing with quilt blocks at the farm show. But one of the other things that Barb and I are trying to do is get these across the counties. So if your Grange is interested, you could help promote the quilt blocks and get people on the Grange trail. You can be a business and or another organization and have the quilt block on your property or your building, and then in turn we put them in the brochure. They'll go on the website, so there's something in it for them too, but they're an attraction that people are going to be looking at when they come up on these businesses or organization buildings too. And if you have a Grange Hall and you don't have any of these on there, which I think a lot do, but or think about adding another one. You know, like Mifflin Grange in Newburgh doesn't have, or Newville doesn't have any. And so we're going to be working with them over there. But Cumberland County has a grant program. And so we can kind of work with your Granges to see if we can find some grant dollars to help you expand the quilt trail program. And so if you're looking for a project that's a little different, or your Grange Hall wants to host where these can be painted at, this is an opportunity for you to do that. And it's a way of getting the name out of Grange in your community. Another thing, my Grange, we just did a program. It was last week because it was National Ag Week, or I guess it's Monday night. My days run together. We just talked about cookbooks. And so there's another thing. How many, that was the huge thing during pandemic, everybody cooking. And I hear was it Mary, I was telling, I said, I put 20 pounds on. I feel like I'm a blimp at the moment. And I said it was because we were producing 5-course meals every night. We thought we were the world's greatest chefs now that we were home and had time to look in our cookbooks. I mean, we were making everything. And not only were we making it, we were eating it. So, but a lot of people have interest in cooking. And, you know, create a Facebook account for your Grange and talk about cooking. Put on a cooking class. Maybe it can be a virtual cooking class if you're not doing anything in your buildings yet. If you are opening up, you know, think about a small class, how you could safely space people and have them come in and learn a recipe. And there's nothing better, and tell some of the stories of Grange and histories of the recipes. But you know, these are things like we hand out at Farm Show are the recipes, and it's a huge attraction. I mean, we still sell a lot of cookbooks. So, and celebrate your things in your community. Like I know right now it's Eagle Grange's 150th. So what year is your Grange? You know, how long have you been there? Have you done any little socials to celebrate being in the community, highlighting it? I know, Jean, I think your Grange is 150 the same year that State Grange is 150. So we should be talking about ways that we can collaborate to do this celebration as we go through the next couple of years. If you're celebrating an anniversary, you know, we should be highlighting those types of things to draw some more attention upon us in the community. And just keep inviting. When I first started in sales, I had a really, really good sales manager. And you will not believe this now, but I used to be really quiet and I was timid. And I know you're thinking, you can't imagine. Yeah, Dina's like, what? But he really brought me out of my shell. But he told me, because I would get sad, like if I talked to 5 people and somebody didn't buy what I was selling. And he would say, Lizzie, you're going to need to talk to 10 people. You're going to get 10 no's before you get 1 yes. And so tell yourself that when you're talking to people. Don't be afraid to keep talking and just sharing. And, you know, that was what sold me on thinking Shippensburg needed a Grange, because they started telling me about all this fun stuff they were doing at their Grange and things that they were providing in their community. And to me, that was a big selling point, and I got excited about it. So just keep talking, keep sharing, keep posting.
Lizzie, I have one more idea I want to share with you.
Okay.
That I haven't heard yet today, but it's different. Because remember, I'm always out of the box.
That's right.
Now, we do something every year at our Grange that's a lot of fun. And that is, we all get together. We have a farm market at our Grange, you know. And at the farm market, the farmers all know that they need to get cabbage, because we all get the cabbage, and then we have a get together and we make homemade sauerkraut. And everybody's got their cabbage there, and we are pounding and cutting and laughing and swapping lies with each other. And I have a hobby of making homemade wines, and we sup a little bit of wine at the same time. And it's just a fun time. and I really enjoy that. And it's we do it on a Saturday morning, and we do it in October so that the sauerkraut will be ready for New Year's Day. And we also have, at the same time, they're cooking hot and put sauerkraut on it, and that's our lunch. So that's just a thing that we do in our Grange. That's a lot of fun. And I'm looking at a picture here right now, and I counted 16 people in this picture right now.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And I know you're going to think, oh, but young people may not want to do that. I'm going to tell you they will, because I went to the Harrisburg Grange, the new people over there. And at one of the members' houses, he canned. And so he was showing everybody how to make applesauce. And so not only it turned into kind of like a twofold thing. Those young people wanted to go and get their own apples. And so they scheduled a day to go pick apples and whatever. And then we got together on a Sunday and we peeled and we prepped the apples, we cooked, and we made our applesauce together. And I got to go with them and do that. And it was a great day. They had fun. They had lots of questions. You know, one of their new members was very experienced in doing this. He had lots of great tips. And to them, that was great. And pandemic kind of messed up a few of their plans, but and this could be something a Grange Hall could do. In Harrisburg, if you go to the Broad Street Market on Sunday mornings, they have a free yard sale. And so you can take anything over there and spread out your blanket or take a bench or a table with you, whatever, and you can hand out things that you no longer want. We've all been purging our closets and anything that you've got, but there's people that do need those items and they'll come, and it's just a nice little community service project. They've done that. The day they did that, they walked down to the ice cream shop and they made the noontime news because it was ice cream day or something, and they got interviewed by the news while they were there. The other thing that they're talking about starting is they want to do some bird walks or nature walks in the city, because there are places that you can do little walks that you can see things that maybe you wouldn't necessarily notice. So again, this is coming from the younger ones. The younger ones are embracing doing these Zoom meetings. Harrisburg also had the Dauphin County, or I think it was a Berks County extension person because they might cover Dauphin, but they did a preservation program online and people could come to that. So there's, lots of different things. You just got to think about how can we do them and where and who to invite.
Yeah. Getting back to making my sauerkraut, I forgot to tell you one thing. We have some important flavoring ingredients to our modern day sauerkraut to excite the taste buds. We add doubled up laughs, lots of giggling, a dash of funny jokes, sprinkled with uncontrollable laughter.
And I think that makes any event successful. Sometimes I think that's why people come to virtual bingo, because we open an hour early and they get to tell jokes in between and they just get to socialize a little bit.
I have written a poem about this to be published in my next book.
Well, there you go. Does anyone else, Cheryl Miller, are you in here?
Yes, I am.
Do you have anything to input on attracting younger members?
Nothing off the top of my head yet.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to give you an opportunity, or anything that because I know that you have been to a lot of the membership meetings. If something made an impact on you, or something you think that yins are going to try at your Grange.
Well, that Tara had just talked there at the beginning. We're trying to, since they have never had an open house, we're working on having that event in that community because, it's very rural township. And unfortunately, like Tara said, we do not have a Grange Hall, which I find that hurtful, because if we want to do something, we have nowhere to go to do it, or we have to have money to rent something. So, but at least we're working out, reaching out via the upcoming open house there toward the end of June. Well, it's actually the end of June. And so it's a way of just saying we're here, come in and find something out about us, Now, something else just came to mind. Since I have retired and moving back home and becoming a Grange member, I see the value of reaching out to the 4-H and FFA organizations. So I have become somewhat active with the Bald Eagle Area FFA program. Todd Biddle is the advisor. And that friendship stems back to 4-H. But anyhow, oftentimes I will share information with youth as they are doing their creeds and extraneous speeches, because you're never in front of people, and when you are in front of people, your nerves are so frayed that you stumble and mumble, and you don't know what your body's doing, and hands are flinging, and that kind of a thing. So generally, I go in at least every other year, or Todd contacts me and asking if I'm willing to work with a youth on their presentations, and I say yes, by all means, I'd love to do that. So what was it, the middle of this week, I met with a young lady, helping her with her creed presentation, and I saw her her T-shirt, and she said, it says Grange Fair. And those of you who know Center County, the Grange Fair is the highlight of the county, and I have a whole bias view toward that. But anyhow, and I said, "Oh, are you a member of the Grange?" "No, but my grandmother and aunt are." I said, "Oh," and just said, "Well, would you be interested in being?" I said, "Are you a member of the Grange?" "No." I said, "Would you be interested in being a member of the Grange?" "Well, yeah." And so I said, "Just between you and me, I'm thinking about starting a youth Grange in Howard. Would you be interested?" "Oh, yes." So again, like Lizzie says, you just have to, put that information out there. So I will probably be asking people how to go about doing this. Not that I'm going to be the leader, but, get that ball rolling. And hopefully, maybe we could reintroduce the Grange into Howard, because several years, that went out. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, just thinking about working with other youth organizations in your community, to making them aware of the Grange organization, and introducing them to the youth or junior Grange, and then they can make the steps up to an adult. And I even said to her, "Dear, you can even be a member of a Grange. There is no age limit of being a bona fide Grange member. So you just have to be able to reach out to new audiences, and being aware that I guess one of the things that have become something that I have a passion about, but how to do it, I'm not really sure. And this comes out from being involved with Joe Stefanoni, was the national membership chair. He was talking about the generations. Many of us who were born late 60s, prior to that, were baby boomers, where people say, "Oh, yes, I'm willing to help and do anything." The millennials and Generation X and Y, they're different. Their values are different. and they think differently. And how do we reach out to those youth, those young people? Because a meeting every month for an hour and a half, no. But I'm willing to give some time to doing a community service. You can be a Grange member, and we're doing this community service, and you have a skill that would lend itself to that event, and we'd love to have you. So again, we just have to know the audience, our target audience is different than we. And, for all of us who are, 55 years and older, we kind of gulp and says, oh no, we've never done it that way. We have to do it our way. And they're saying, well, I don't like your way, and so I don't want to be part of your organization. And if we don't think about making these changes, and again, this comes out from a book that Joe had and Betsy recommended, Organizations as We Knew Them, or something to that effect. As I was reading through that, I said, oh my gosh, that's the Grange. We're antiques. We have this wonderful backstory, but the new generations aren't really interested a whole lot about that backstory. They want to know what you're going to give to me, for me to be a member of your organization. And again, it's like, no. You come because you want to be here, and don't ask anything from me to give to you, because you just need to be a member of my organization. And no, they're saying, no, I want something out of this. And so again, that's a whole different concept. And how do we deal with that? And how do we reach out to these new generations? So again, I talk too long.
No, you haven't. And you bring up some really great points, Cheryl. And it is, when we get younger people that are interested, we have to learn as Grangers to let them do things their way. Even though we've never done it that way before, we need to let them give a whirl to be different at what they want to do. And you might be surprised just how successful and how they can actually get us to change our ways a little bit. So they feel like they're participating in it, they're giving something back. It's no fun to join something and then have people slap your fingers and say, no, you need to let them be them. And that's kind of what I find refreshing with the Harrisburg crew. I mean, I don't know that any Grange ever told me they wanted to go do bird walks. So it's like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, exactly right. And we've never done anything like that. No, I think we're an organization, our nose is to the grindstone. We have something that needs to be accomplished, and we're going to work to do it. And, we really don't do a lot of fun stuff like bird walking. Wow. Yeah, I'm willing. Sign me up. I'm willing to go.
Right.
Lizzie, I'm going to have to sign off here pretty quick.
Okay. All right. Thank you,
Before
Jeff.
I do, I would like to read to you a poem I've written that summarizes this recent talk here about that's the way we've always done it. And the title of my poem is, We Have Always Done It This Way. Many organizations have innumerable years of existence with valuable, useful, profitable, beneficial, and rewarding successes within their communities. However, resting on the laurels is often the last-ditch effort to remain relevant. Relying on past achievements leads to organizational stagnation. Stagnation leads to a popular saying which says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Past successes are no guarantee for the future, especially when there are constant changes within local societies. Past success should not stop members from being resistant to new ideas. If a membership, especially older members, exhibit resistance to change or new ideas, this is quite frustrating to them, especially new members, young members, or any member who has a new or different idea. Based upon previous successes, longtime members firmly believe there is no better way to do things. Oftentimes they are correct. However, other members become frustrated when a brilliant idea for organizational improvement or change are constantly scoffed or ignored. When members cannot visualize their future, they become change blind, which leads to a dwindling membership. I have been asked numerous times, are there any cures for change blindness? Some ingredients to prevent change blindness include: do not pull any surprises. Give a heads up to organizational leaders and discuss the significance of your thinking and its importance before presenting it to the group. Be prepared to explain how and why your ideas can benefit the organization. Be prepared to meet resistance from members. Even though you are aware past activities have been successful, there are a few ways we could improve by emphasizing your idea. After a good job describing a new idea, it was still shot down. I know how incredibly exasperating. You are allowed to feel a little gloom, but if you're going to attempt to thrive within a stagnant group, you need to be positive and bounce back. Bouncing back within a stagnant group where you don't feel appreciated can deflate your enthusiasm. However, stay positive. Be part of an organization where the members are intolerant to change, present some difficult challenges. So it's important to be adequately prepared when presenting your new ideas. Even if your suggestion is still turned down, in the long run, you can rest easy with the knowledge that you tried your absolute hardest to get the people's endorsement. And one of my favorite quotes, which is frequently attributed to Ralph Waldo Emerson, but it actually came from a lady named Muriel Strode, and it goes like this: I will not follow where the path may lead, but I will go where there is no path, and I will leave a trail. Unquote. That's my poem of We've Always Done It That Way.
Thank you.
Did I capture it?
That. Yes, that was great. Thank you for sharing that. And you know, when we were talking about like the interest of young people, I know that
Yes.
it's mentioned, and Betsy might have something to share on this, because I think there's somebody out on the western part of the country, I'm not sure what state they're in, that is doing more with clubs at their Granges. So whether it would be like a cooking club or, you know, a knitting club, or at SHIP, you know, I had a couple kids that joined when they were in high school because they wanted to learn more politically. And I used to take them to meet the politicians and stuff, and that was a thing. That might be something to think about. One thing I always share about Grangers is I can tell there's a difference between the way we talk about politics and the way things are happening in the world right now. And Grangers are great debaters, not haters. And so we can talk about it and not necessarily be turning on each other that we see. And I think if we could get younger people involved in the political aspect of things that we've done too, might make a great club for young people.
Lizzie, a point that you're bringing up there is one of the things, and again, this is my passion, but well, I think we need to really highlight the fact that we are preserving rural America. And several years ago, at the Grange organization, or at the Grange Fair, I worked with Joe, and we developed a 10 question interview, and had people, you know, answer the questionnaire. And it was interesting how many people had written down preserving agricultural land. And so again, I think, and the many, many times I have heard people talking, knowing what is the Grange's niche. And for me, the Grange's niche is rural America. And, and there, I think that's a flag that we should fly in front of the Grange organization, is that we are preserving rural America and agriculture. And again, and if you've been around me enough, there are times that I get kind of livid about some issues. This whole thing of almond milk, and you think it's wonderful, and it's like, folks, if you're going to drink getting any nutrients out of that, they're adding to it. They're enriching it. But you give me a glass of milk, and I've got the most wonderful source of calcium. I've got the most wonderful source of protein. That it's almost fat-free. Even whole milk is only 4% saturated fat. And I'm eating pizza every other day, and how many grams of saturated fat is in that? But no, we can't have whole milk because it's bad for our health. No, the new research says no. There is nothing connected with the saturated fats in milk relating to diabetes and heart disease. So, and there again, today's population are so naive about, it says MGOs or the thing that we learned the other day about eggs, hormones, or what have you. Agriculture is so regulated that they can't put it there. But someone said, if we put this on the label, people will flock and buy our eggs because there's no hormones. Well, it's a lie. So again, just the point is, we should be really being promoting rural America, and I think today there are young people who are there, and that's a way to attract them. And again, what is the wordage? I guess there's a committee that says, okay, how do we make this in the forefront of the Grange organization? Because as you know, our grassroots came from the little prairie,
that little house on the prairie. I mean, we started.
Exactly.
When Mr. Kelly
So,
went down south and was touring those farms after the Civil War,
right?
He knew that there was a lot of hatred among families and fighting because some fought for the North, some fought for the South, and he knew that if he could get them around a dinner table, that they would talk to each other. And so the core of getting families back together. He knew that political played that role in there. He knew that there needed to be laws and advocacy to get things to come back together after, the wars. And that's played out again and again and again and again, our advocacy that we do. And so it is, and let's not undercut, we're trying to preserve rural population is decreasing, and we need to get into the cities to promote, like the community gardens and how you can grow things on your patio. You don't even need to have a garden to do it. And those are great programs to put out there to people. So now there's Betsy. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the Grange that's doing something with clubs?
Yes. That's in Nevada.
Okay.
Nevada has 6 Granges now, with 2 or 3 more in the works. And they've accomplished that by the Grange Youth Fair program. It's very active in California, and there's some in Washington State. But Nevada has really taken it and run with it. There's one Grange that just started about 2 years ago that has about over 200 members, and they have, I think, 40 different club programs, and there's such a variety. They do the Toastmasters, public speaking classes, everything from that to raising goats and turkeys and any other animal you can think of. They have a chef now who's a member who's doing pasta making classes. So you can follow them on Facebook. They made spaghetti and they made ravioli and all kinds of things. It's just, I'm jealous because they have all this going on out in Nevada. We can't join it. But anything that any member expresses interest in, then they form a club and have others join and do that program. It's really amazing. It's very successful out there.
Yeah, and I think that it's not a bad idea to take a look at that, or even if to maybe reach out to someone from out there and get pointers if you're looking down that road of starting a club. I know, of course, I'm sitting here with my little craft bucket again. Here's my yarn. I would join somebody's knitting club, just to learn how to knit. I crochet, but I can't knit. I tried a scarf and it did not turn out right. So I do think clubs can be successful. I want to throw out there too that I'm not sure if everyone on the call is aware that, like, in Pennsylvania, we had a gentleman donate money for the first year's membership for FFA kids to join us. And so their first year's dues are paid if you have somebody from FFA. FFA brings a lot of skills and talents with those kids joining us too, where maybe one of them would have an interest in topics or working with clubs too.
Lizzie, can I add to that?
Yeah.
So Nevada is unique because they don't have an extension out there that has a 4-H program, so along with California. So that's why they can be real successful. But some of their ideas can flow into Pennsylvania because, as Betsy just mentioned, there's some of those things they're doing that with the chef that you could do at your Grange Hall, knitting classes, crocheting classes for not just kids, but for adults that want to learn how to do it. So, we think that we're in this little box here in Pennsylvania because we have extension, but we can play on top of that and branch out. And, our Grange is as guilty as any other Grange, but as our esteemed Mr. Dr. Diamond says, we need to think out of the box. And we are so far in boxes in our Granges that it's ridiculous.
They do have extension. They have 4-H in Nevada, but it's got so many rules and regulations that the families are pulling out of it and looking for something else. So that's what's happening with the Grange.
Well, and I'm telling you that across Pennsylvania, that has happened too with this COVID. And there are a lot of counties that are moving to youth activities and not through extension. I mean, we ended up here in the county doing that last year to continue on some of the projects that the kids had already started. We just turned it into a youth fair and, did not incorporate extension people at all in it. But we don't, our leadership last year does not want to continue on to do that, but it is a possibility.
The Grange Youth Fair handbook is on the National Grange website. So if you have any interest in going that way, outside of 4-H, not that I have any problem with Penn State at all, but sometimes it's not the answer. So the handbook with all the rules and regulations and entry forms and everything is on our website, Grange Youth Fair.
Okay. All right. Well, I know that I had asked questions and I didn't get very far, but one of the things that I'll say to Secretary Redding is that how do we get a seat at that table? You know, that's all I'm asking for. I said, I'm not asking you to put us somewhere, but how do we get our seat at that table? And one of them is that when we go to like farm show or to the fairs, we don't have that category for if you're a Grange. And so I'd like to see that change, but that's a process. And I think it's going to take us a while to work through to get that to happen. But
Secretary Redding's very, very willing to do that. I've talked to him. I've talked to the 4-H director at Penn State several years ago, but we just couldn't find the right leader in Pennsylvania to follow through and make it happen.
right.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but then not all fairs, I mean, like, they're not Grange member specific, but in Juniata County, they're youth specific.
There's a
So you
generic
don't have to
category.
be, yeah, you don't have to be, I mean, it doesn't say 4-H, it just says youth. So you can, anybody in the county can compete in those classes that are open to youth. Is that not standard across the fairs in Pennsylvania?
I think that is standard that there's that open category, but when I look at farm show's there because Grange was part of that in the beginning. So somewhere along the way, we got off our tracking and you know, that involvement there. I don't know where it went south, but I just feel that there should be that category because Grange youth can be as strong as the FFA and, you know, the 4-H program that does have their categories over there. I was told too that like maybe donations to the foundation, you know, because I wanted to know, you know, like, could we donate money? Could I come up with something where we could raise money throughout the year and it would just be a Pennsylvania State Grange scholarship being handed out at those scholarships that they do through the farm show. And so those are discussions that have been out on the table. And as pandemic, you know, we get back out here and do a little bit more, I'll be going back to try to hit some of that home. But we just lose some of our notoriety because people don't know about our history. And if we were part of those types of programming, I think that it would be more beneficial. You know, I worked with the FFA youth at the virtual farm show and they needed some help getting something off the ground because they were struggling. Everything they planned, then the governor changed the rules and their whole programming platform got pulled out from under them. And so I met with them and we ended up just doing Ag Jeopardy, but we had 4-H, we had FFA kids on there. We had Harrison from the farm show. What is he, like director of operations over there? But it was a great little event. And now they're looking forward to wanting to work with Grange doing something for the next farm show. And that maybe we might see that Ag Jeopardy going up on the stage and actually happening at the farm show. So, but it's just making those connections and kind of getting our foot in the door or that place at the table, I call it. So, but we just need to keep striving for that. And it's like placing yourself in your community too, with the things that are going on. Find your place at the table in your community to keep promoting. I know we've been at this for about an hour and a half, so I'm going to kind of wrap this up here. But if you have thoughts, if you need help, ideas, whatever, don't hesitate to call us at the Grange, email me, Facebook me. However, I got my cell phone plastered everywhere. But if you need it, you know, it's 717-254-9550. Call me. You know, we're always here for you. All right. I want to say thank you for everyone that joined with us because I wasn't sure if I would have anybody today. So this was kind of cool. I hope you found a little nugget or a kernel of something that you can take with you as you're working in your Granges. And as we're opening up, don't forget to invite us out because we're anxious to get out there.
Thank you, Lizzie. Lots
Okay.
of great ideas.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Lizzie. That was great.
All right. Well, thank you all for participating and hope to see you all soon.
Okay,
All right,
take care.
bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.